Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for this week's video. I'm going to start a new 3-part series. It's going to be called Check Yourself, and it's just going to be about a couple different topics that I feel like we need to bring the accountability back on us about. And I really do feel like we are our own worst enemy with picking the wrong people and having the wrong mindset. So these next couple videos are going to be about just maybe like reshaping the way you're thinking or viewing certain situations that are pretty important to your self-esteem, to just the overall view of how you go into the dating world. So today's video is going to be how to tell if a guy likes you. So I'm going to give you my top 5 ways that you can tell if a guy likes you, and you have to bring that accountability back to us to be able to know whether or not someone is being real or someone's being fake with us. So stay tuned. So number 1, and these are not in necessarily any particular order, I think that number 5 is probably the most important, so I did leave that one for last, but the other ones are just, all about the same. So my number 1 is he wants to get to know you versus small talk. So that's going to be someone that is asking you questions about yourself, about your life, what your hopes and your dreams are, where you want to be, what your goals are for career-wise and with God and with kids, and like the real meat and potatoes type conversations. And it's not the ones, because you have to be really careful of this, because some guys want to know about you, especially be real careful about telling too much about your past relationships. Like, well, he didn't tell me he loves me, he didn't say that I was beautiful, he didn't compliment me on this or that, he didn't appreciate the fact that I was this type of person or that type of person. Be real careful, because men pay real close attention to that, especially those fake scam dudes. They're going to use what you say against you down the line, because you're saying, oh, well, he didn't tell me he loves me, and then all of a sudden they're like telling you they love you really quick, or he never called me beautiful, so every morning they're sending you a good morning beautiful text, or it might be once a week they're sending you a good morning beautiful text, and because they're doing it, you're like, oh, well, he does this, and he does that, and blah blah blah, but then you're ignoring the bigger picture of what he doesn't do. So just be real careful of that too. So what I'm talking about as far as getting to know you is like meat and potatoes. Like, they're trying to be with you, they're trying to learn you, they're trying to learn, what you like and don't like, so that, you can see if you're compatible. So that's a completely different story than someone that's just trying to, get their foot in the door and do all these nice things that, don't take a lot of effort, quite frankly. Just send a good morning beautiful text is like 0 effort. So don't fall into traps about telling a guy too much about your past relationships and then getting messed up because they're trying to do all those things that you said, and then meanwhile they're really just trying to manipulate you by doing them. So just be real careful. So my next one is going to be, he is consistent versus ghosts you for long periods of times, then comes back with little to no explanation. So consistency would be, he's calling you, going out with you, coming to see you, things like that consistently. Men that are like, oh, well, once a week or, a couple times a week, they hit you up and they're like, hey, what's up? But then they never make any real plans to actually see you. Or they claim to be so busy, and then you realize they're not really as busy as they're saying, and then you're also thinking, well, how much effort does it take to send a text once a day, or to call once a day, or whatever. So whatever it is that's going on, if it's not consistent and you don't feel like you're getting what you need from a relationship, there's probably a reason. There's no logical reason a man can give you to say, well, I just was away for 2 weeks because what's going to be the good answer? Now, the exception might be, like, everyone knows my boyfriend's deployed. He's not somewhere where he can't call me. However, some people are. So I can kind of see that kind of a situation. But short of that, like, were you in jail? Like, what what was in the way of you texting me and just saying, you know, hey, I was thinking about you, or hey, I have this going on, can I call you in a couple days? And you know, it's the difference between someone being genuine and someone being shady. So you definitely have to figure out which of the two that is when you're dealing with men. So my next one, third, is he is genuinely affectionate versus trying to just get your clothes off as his main mission. So what I mean by that is men that are affectionate and they don't have any strings attached to that. So, you know, men that are gonna hold your hand or they're gonna cuddle with you, and they could go home after they watch that movie with you because they don't have any expectations of, you know, oh, I hung out with you, so, you know, what's up, you know? Like, I don't think that we have to feel as though them giving us their time means that we have to in turn give them something back, especially sexual favors. So just be real mindful of that, of like men that are just genuinely like, you know, like I want to be close to her, so I'm going to be touching her all the time, or I want to be playing with her hair, or, you know, I want to be like doing this to her dimples, or, you know, just whatever it is that like makes you feel good about, you know, just like that simple touch. And it's not a sexual touch, it's just like, I care about you, I want you to be nurtured type touch. So just be real careful of that, you know, when you're hanging out and you feel like, you know, he's expecting something more, like, you know, you got to go to some, you know, base or level or whatever you want to say. I know we're all grown, so we're not like first base and second base and home run and all that stuff. But just be mindful of, you know, what his intentions are between, within the, like those touches and things like that, because they are important. You do want somebody to like hold your hand and hold you and, you know, make you feel safe, and all those things are important. But, you know, the intent behind it is what you have to be thinking about. So number 4 is he isn't afraid to be himself around you versus never showing you the real sides of him, and he's reserved and distant. So what I mean by that is a man that likes you is going to show you all of their weird, quirky sides eventually. Not right away, because they don't want to scare you away. However, you know, if a man is really kind of like secretly nerdy, or, you know, they have like some secret interest, or you know, like they secretly listen to rock music when you're expecting them to listen to rap, or vice versa, or, you know, if they have like these like weird things that, or, and they're not weird, it's just like things that maybe they're a little bit more reserved at showing someone, they're going to show you, because they're going to want to open up to you. They're going to want to know that they can be themselves around you, because men have insecurities too, and I think we often forget about that. So, you know, if a substantial amount of time has gone by and you feel like you know a lot less about the person than they know about you, I mean, there might be something going on with that. You know, maybe he's shy, or maybe he just, you know, really takes his time opening up. Yeah, we can argue all those things all the time, but somebody that's interested is going to slowly give you little bits and pieces, just the same way you're doing with them. So number 5, I think this is the most important thing, and you know, people go back and forth about this all the time. So he is actively pursuing you versus keeping you constantly wondering where you stand. If you watch my relationships video, you'll see what I'm talking about with that, is that, you know, we can sometimes get to a point where we're dating and we're seeing each other on a regular basis, we're talking every day and all these things, and then it doesn't really feel like it's progressing. Like, you feel like it's progressing in your feelings and in your heart and in your mind. However, there's not a title, you haven't had that conversation about exactly what the two of you want and where your relationship is going and things like that. And then you run into guys where you've been dating them for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and, you know, they're like, well, I just like how things are. You know, I'm too old for, you know, somebody that doesn't want to get married and doesn't want to go into, you know, the next phase of our relationship. I'm sorry. However, you know, if you're just not who I need, and men know whether or not they're who you need. They're just sometimes too selfish to go away because you're probably a good woman and they don't want to lose you. However, it's still remains that it's selfish to want to hold on to you even though they feel like maybe they don't see something going long term or anything like that. Those are things you need to find out sooner than later. Who wants to be in this long relationship and then find out, well, I mean, I just don't see myself marrying you, or they hit you with, I'm not the marrying type, or I'm not ready to settle down, I'm not looking for a relationship, and you know, it's months and months or weeks in, you know, however long it is, but men have a propensity to show us all of these things that make us feel like we're in a relationship and we're really not. So, you know, ways that a man is actively pursuing you is all the things that I just said. They're being consistent, they're being affectionate, and they're being genuine. They're opening up to you. They are talking to you about future things and longevity and things like that. They're not keeping you wondering and guessing about where they stand. They're telling you, you know, I want to be with you, I like you, I care about you, all those things. So just be real careful about a man pursuing you versus just kind of hanging out with you. I think that's kind of the best way, and I go into more detail about my friendships video, because friends, relationships, you know, men are like, well, we were just friends. And you're like, we were dating and kicking it for like 6 months, and it's like, well, we were never officially together. Like, oh my gosh, like, men doing that is like one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, come on, dude, like, you know what you're doing, and you've probably done it to other women, not just me. So, you know, you're just being manipulative. So that really just bothers me, as you can see. But anyway, so those were my top 5 reasons, or top 5 ways that I feel like you can tell if a guy likes you, if he's really investing in you, if he really feels like he wants to open up his heart to you. There's a ton more, so if you guys can think of any, definitely comment below and let me know what your thoughts are about what I said, or also if you have some thoughts on your own. So stay tuned for my next videos in this series.